Welcome one and all to tonight's meeting, and I'd ask Councillor Parker to lead us in prayer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your blessings. We ask for your strength and guidance throughout this meeting and thereafter as we look to serve the residents of this shire. We ask for clear thinking and sincere hearts as we approach the business matters that will be discussing shortly. We ask for your blessings upon this meeting, each participant, and the work and the people they represent. Dona Matildas. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Parker. I acknowledged country about an hour or so ago, so once a day for me is enough. So any apologies or applications for leave? If not, we'll move on to the minutes of the previous meeting, 19th of July.
I'll move those minutes of the correct.
Moved by Councillor Hicks, will be seconded. Councillor Wilton. Any corrections or comments? If not, I'll put the resolution all in favour. Those against, declare it carried. Anyway, action reports of the minutes. Name the page and the number, please. No comments? If not, we'll move on to the first item of the day, which is from the Environment Planning Department, a very lengthy report. Development agenda. Oh, sorry.
I'll move that recommendation.
The 7-11 fixed development consent. They moved and seconded. O'Neill, Hicks, any comments?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Mayor. I'm still concerned that that the Ginger Netball building is now 1.1 million, and so we're giving funding to a single-use building, which to me it doesn't fit our new criteria. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Linda. Any other comments? My comment from the chair is that a lot of the items are far away, but anyway, we hope that we're going to get continued development. So, put the resolution, those in favour, those against, declare it carried. Councillor Linda opposed it. The second item is the 33 blocks in Indra.
I'll move that recommendation.
Been moved by Councillor Hicks, so we're second. Councillor Forrest, matters open for discussion. Any comments?
Thanks.
Councillor Shields.
This is just a personal opinion. I wondered whether we could leave it till we all have a look at the block. I know there's a lot of detail here and that's quite a bit of ploughing through. My initial concern was seeing so much blue on that aerial map. I realised that there is a lot of drainage planned, but we're sort of interfering with the natural water course, which is one concern. Is the sewer and everything going to stand up to the extra usage? And the trees, the large river, the red gum, they sort of absorb excess moisture, help to absorb moisture naturally. So if we take those out as well, I just feel it's, even though it does tick a lot of boxes, there's a lot of explanation. The report from Esquire was very in depth, but it seems to be a lot squashed into a small area. And I think we do need to just listen and take some of the concerns on board. It was just more about, and is it a high density? You know, they're not all non-native exotics. There's river red gums coming in as well. 33 trees is a lot of trees. And having the report say that it's not particularly important to a lot of wildlife, any tree is important. You know, can some of that be saved as a little green pocket? We're looking at some of our development, that there's no green pockets in some of these developments. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Thank you.
The engineer or the planner wish to make a comment.
Well, there's a bit there to comment about. I think that the conditions to address the requirements of the development, they're very extensive conditions. Most of the river red gums are going to be in the residual lot that will be gifted to council on the creek. So they're maintained. And so if there is a river red gum to go, it could only be a single specimen, I think. I think the majority of them are in this residual lot. The engineers are very confident that they can address the drainage issues that exist there. And there's still a hydraulic assessment that they have to do, which is condition number 2 to address that. So if our engineers are not satisfied with what they say, the subdivision wouldn't proceed then anyway. So that it cannot proceed until we're 100% satisfied as to that. I read the comments of Spire in relation to the sewer, and they say that the issues in relation to the sewer are able to be managed and controlled. And they provided a few suggestions there, and we didn't get any feedback back from our engineering staff to the contrary. So I can only assume that that's okay. Yeah, I think on balance, it is accepted that it's a pretty intense development. I think the thing that I like to think about intensity in development is that it does provide opportunities for people to enter the market, and that can be people that are downsizing, but it can also be people that are actually looking for a way into the market. And you have to have that affordable option in town. And Gindera has really got caught up in increased pricing. And you know, for us, a lot of people, their entry point into the market may have to be a smaller block nowadays with a smaller house. And it's good to have that variety. I think it does provide that for Gindera, this development, because currently we're very light on in just standard housing blocks in Gindera, and we have a lot of larger allotments that are available, but they have a lot higher price tag. And so, yeah, I think in terms of the need for this subdivision, it's there from a social and economic point of view.
Sorry, 3 years, Mayor. 2 questions. Do you know the time frame on the stage 2? Along after stage 1?
No, a lot of developers won't divulge their time frames to council. They're not required to do that. So there just is a typical DA where we will give, they have 5 years to substantially commence the development, and substantially, unless we condition it to allow for a different time frames, that would substantially commencing the development could actually be doing stage 1, and then it could sit there for whatever time period the developer thinks.
And second question, is there the likelihood of double story?
I think any urban allotment has the likelihood of double story. The double story is typical built form now, and particularly when you've got smaller allotments, the need for double story is there to maximise a little bit of open space. But your development controls for double story are really well defined nowadays, because double story is just a typical built form in many residential settings. And so controls for privacy and other issues, particularly privacy though, are there. The frosted glazing and higher window sills where there's overlooking and external screening on balconies, and those measures are put in place to try and take some of the implications of two-story away in a dead setting.
So the neighbours get notified.
Yes, they will get notified, but the extent of the notification may be determined on the nature of how the application comes to the council. So there's complying development with the notification periods a lot shorter, but in complying development, and then there's standard development application, which they would get 14 days to notify. But the reason why complying development has got a different notification period is the state government has set these benchmarks where if the development meets those standards, they say there shouldn't be any legitimate concern that a neighbour should be able to raise. And so those standards are quite high for complying development.
Further comments?
Yes,
Councillor Linder?
please, Mr Mayor. Just on page 8, just the one that councillor Shield highlighted, the flow of water. My only concern here is up the top right-hand corner, if that water's stopped, it's going to force it to go into the creek. Could we be flooding someone out further downstream?
Well, those issues will have to come out of the hydraulic assessment. Our initial indication is not that likely. The flow of water from this development shouldn't have a lot of impact for people downstream, but some of that may come out of the hydraulic assessment, and the conditions indicate that there could even be the need for a little bit of on-site detention. And so whether that arises, we don't know. More meat's got to go on the bones at this later stage.
Further comments? I think it'll put a good mix of different size blocks into Gindra, which is badly needed because the ones that are coming on the market down Pioneer Drive to the south and to the east are upmarket blocks, and so they should be, but they're very expensive. But I understand exactly what council is, or council now is referring to, because these blocks will create a watershed for somebody else. That's up to our drainage expert next to me to make sure the water goes into that big drain. So no further comments. I'll put the resolution. Those in favour? Those against? Declare it carried all the way. Sorry. There you go. I looked this way. I forgot to look that way. Number 3, policy development, contaminated land management policy. Moved by Councillor Meyer, second Councillor Wilton. Any comments?
Meyer.
If not, all in favour? Those against? Declare it carried all the way. Number 4, the curbside collection tender.
Move the recommendation, Mr Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Parker. Very disappointing to see there's only one tender, but that's the way the world is. Any questions?
Yeah, I do. It's sort of slightly relevant. There's a new family that have moved into Burrum Buddy that are requiring bins, so that they'll fall under the old category where they've actually got to purchase their bins. Is that correct?
No,
At the moment, we're not charging, but well, look, that's a tricky one, Councillor Lindo. We're not charging for replacement bins, and I assume we're not also charging for new, like if they're building a new home, then we wouldn't be charging either, because they're going to be replaced in this under this contract. The council resolved to do that maybe 12 months ago, and a little bit ago, we resolved to do that, so not charge.
that answers the question, Councillor.
Question, Mr Mayor.
Yes, Councillor.
There are a number of farmers or people living in the bush these days that have a truck come and pick their garbage up. Is that included in this, or is that quite separate?
That's separate with the front lift bin. That was a program that council instigated some time ago to just provide a bit more flexibility for people's waste needs. And so we do subsidise the disposal costs, but it's basically a private arrangement between the landowner and the company. So that will just continue. Quite separate. Yeah.
I was just going to say, did Councillor Meyer, you mean the normal wheelie bins that are lined up for farmers, or the skips? Because
There are some people that wheelie bins out, there are some people that have big holes out there.
yes, Yeah,
I
the
sure
really
don't.
big search, they're like,
No,
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 to be quite right, councillor Shield, the wheelie bins will be caught by this new tender. The only difference will be they're outside the scavenging area, which many of the farmers will be, they won't have to take the organic waste. But if they're inside the scavenging area, which is the map area that they tendered on, they will have to take an organic service.
further questions or comments? If not, I'll put the resolution. All in favour? Those against, declare it carried all the way. Number 5, policy development, private swimming pool inspection policy.
move to the recommendation.
Move councillor Wilton. Second. Second, councillor Linda. Any comments? If not, all in favour? Those against, declare it carried. The corporate and community services, number 1, the licence for Urana Road, Burrumbutty, Crown Reserve.
Yeah, I'll move that recommendation.
Move councillor Linda,
Second, Mr. Mayor.
second councillor Meyer. We've definitely got to advertise these, have we?
Yes, we have to advertise, yes.
We generally lose on that sort of thing by the time we pay the ads, don't we?
Unfortunately, yes.
Maybe we could get a town crier to fly over or a drone if the answer. Anyway, any comments? If not, I'll put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried all the way again. Another licence,
Happy to move it, Mr Mayor.
they moved by councillor Parker, got a seconder,
Second, Mr. Mayor.
councillor Meyer. Any comments? If not, all in favour, those against, declare it carried all the way. We get for another policy.
Yes, move, so moved,
They
1 and 2.
They moved by councillor Wilton, recommendations 1 and 2, second councillor Shield. Any questions? Not all in favour, those against, declare it carried all the way. Engineering footpath for Rosler Parade, handy, finally at last, this is moving.
Yes, it is actually, I can move that recommendation.
Been moved by councillor Shield. With second councillor Linda. Any comments? If not, all in favour, those against, declare it carried. Provision of footpath, Urana Street,
I'll
Gindra,
move that one.
councillor O'Neill. Second, councillor Wilton.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask that you use the mic, please, when you're talking?
Sorry, councillor Meyer. We're on to the footpath of Urana Street, Gindra. How much public land's involved?
Public land, there's a couple hundred metres of public land within the park. It's been, the pathway's been, the playground is the actual road. The playground, it's linking into the playground equipment to the road network out at your Street.
So where does our share of money come out of?
We've allocated out the funding out of our parks budget, was one of our allocated budget items. So there's a separate fund for the Urana Street, and then the park funding funds for the park.
No further comments. I'll put the resolution, all in favour. Those against, declare it carried all the way. Items to be referred to closed council,
Happy to move, Mr Mayor.
councillor Parker, councillor Shield. We're moving 1 and 2.
Thank you.
Any comments? If not, all in favour? Those against, declare it carried. We move on to the officers' reports, part B.
Move the,
Councillor Wilton's moved B and C. Second, councillor Meyer. Question?
can I ask a couple of things from the council's annual review paper in the monthly? The Black Street order with the reservoir, the business case is done. How much longer is that looking like to be upgraded or second one, whatever it's planned to do? N 1.1.8.
Happy to answer that, through Mayor. In relation to a positive business case that's been approved, now it's got to go to a full grant application for design and construction. That application will be submitted this year, considered by Safe and Secure. Probably later this year, early next year, and then we've got to get in line for funding. We'll be lodging an application later this year.
So it's all waiting for funding, basically.
Oh, well, we've got to lodge the grant application for the full design and construction, which is obviously about $4 million to do that project. So now that we've got the business case approved by the New South Wales State Government through Safe and Secure, now we're going to make the next step. It's just the process we have to follow.
Thank you. The support for Meals on Wheels has just been ticked off. It's a H2.2.1. Can that, it was sort of the information mentioned, it was on the iPad. Sorry.
Yeah, what page are we on?
There was no page.
Oh,
number.
sorry.
It was just the letters and the numbers.
Yeah.
It's Annex 9. It's been successful in Holbrook, but there was some more education to happen with people with dealing with people with dementia through with the Meals on Wheels people. But that education includes some carers and some significant others when that comes around.
Through you, Mr. Bell, maybe to comment on that. Yeah, yes, it will. Where we're at the moment is we are in contact with Dementia Australia for them to run an information session here in Holbrook. And we're just waiting for them to prepare a flyer so we can start advertising that. And yes, obviously that will involve carers and family and so on and so forth. Anyone involved with anyone who's with dementia. So that's the aim. And Meals on Wheels, we've involved them in it simply because they do get some funding for social support. So we're out of the education program and so on. We're hoping that they can potentially assist some people who might be struggling in that area.
Completely different vocabulary used and the way you speak to with dementia people. So the more promotion out there is the better.
And that's what the day that Dementia Australia are putting on is about. And you know, it's going to be the first step. I suspect that there'll be further programs after that. We've got a couple of people, particularly here in Holbrook, who are keen to drive it. And that we can start with the one day here and then expand it out across the Shire and broaden the scope of what's discussed. And look, ultimately what we want to do is establish a dementia cafe type arrangement. Because there's a couple of people here from Holbrook who've got to travel into Wodonga at the moment for something. This is how things turn around. This is something that we used to do many years ago. I'm not quite sure whether you were on council then. When we were funded to do it, funding was all taken away, along with the way that all our other community care programs were funded, which meant that we couldn't do it anymore. And now, you know, probably what 15 years later, here we are back again. The circle has come full circle, and we're back here trying to organise dementia cafes again.
Thank you, it is important. One more.
Further question, councillor?
Sorry, one more. It is in the bullet annexure details, all this information. And I thought we don't always get a chance to speak on some of those things. The G3.2.5 in regards to visitor information centres, there's some workshops coming up with that, or can there be some refresher courses with some of those places that have had an information site for some time, just to keep them up to date?
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're just working through that, our strategies and things with having a new person on board. But certainly part of that will be making certain that we're keeping everyone up to date and providing the best visitor service we can across Greater Hume.
Yes, Councillor Linda.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, am I a little bit too slow with asking this question? It's just regarding the item that we referred to, close council, the Colcan residential subdivision.
We'll deal with that.
Okay. And the other question I've got is just in relation to next in 12, which is the capital works. On page 3 of 3, village sewer supply, Burrumbaddock sewer. Can you, if someone explain to me what that's about, please?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, that the proposal is that due to the capacity issues of the existing observation pond on the tree lot to the common drainage system, that we need to put another pond in. So that's what we're looking at doing in there, in the reserve land area that we do have, to put another pond and another tree lot that is replicating what's there at the moment to handle the current flows that we've got.
And is there a time frame on that?
Oh, it's proposed this year, we've got to do some design work, but it'll be done over the whole sort of financial year.
Another question? With doing up roads or rehabilitating roads, there seems to be a lot of guardrails. Is that in the legislation? Are we following Victoria with their roads?
It's an unfortunate that due to the ecological issues that are required to be managed these days, the placement of guardrails is critical to ensure if we don't have clear zones and we can't remove the trees, we've got to have a guardrail in that situation, as well as anywhere there is where we can't achieve a 1 in 6 fall or there are culverts, we've got to install guardrail, which there's been a lot of work done on Georgia Road just recently. But to meet the requirements of grant funding, we've got to comply with the New South Wales Safety Act and there's legislation there that we've got to abide by. So that's why guardrail, you'll see a lot more getting installed all over the place, mainly to sort of keep people on the road and protect the trees. We need guardrail. That's just part of the legislation that we've got to do.
It's funny how things go. The new section of Toronto Road, probably half it's got guardrails on it. You've only got to go about another 400 metres or so, and there's a sweeping bend. And over the years, we've fished umpteen cars out of that creek, and we've never fished a car out of all along there. But anyway, it's bottom line. Any further questions on the B or C? If not, I'll put the resolution. All in favour? Those against? Declare it carried. Somebody care to move D?
I'll move that.
Move Councillor Hicks. Thank you, Councillor Wilton. Any questions? No, I'll put it all in favour. Those against? Declare it carried. Move to the confidential items of the day. Councillor Wilton has moved. Councillor Forrest has seconded. All in favour? Those against? Declare it carried.